Hello everybody, my name is Vidya. I am getting ready to give you some tips to help you with a journey for me, particularly in tennis, and I'm trying to keep my body as happy and limber as possible. So I am a Pilates teacher, and I'm just going to give you a few tips to keep you flexible, stretched out, loose, so we have an amazing journey with our matches and games. So, most important thing that we do as human beings is breath. We'll start with 3 full deep breaths in and out. That's how we're going to begin this journey. So let's all breathe together, shall we? All right, let's take a nice inhale. And let it go. On the next 2 inhales and exhales, see if we can do this through our nose and out, or in through our nose and out through our nose. Breath is our most important thing we can do for ourselves. As my coach always says, stay simple, start simple, stay simple, finish simple. So those words stick by me, and the most simplest thing we can do for ourselves is breathing. So I have a TheraBand. It's a very light TheraBand. It's not a huge amount of stress or energy at all. We are going to start with gentle stretching for our hamstrings first. Hamstrings, legs, those kinds of things. And I know this is going to sound very unusual. I'm actually going to start on my back with my legs up against the wall, all the way with my bum also into the wall. That's the first part, and then we'll move on. I've already rolled out my feet. I've used a tennis ball before, but I have other soft balls also available at my disposal. So I use all kinds of soft balls to help me roll out my feet first. And I've already done that. So this is a restorative pose in yoga. Yes, I will give props to all kinds of movement practices because I believe in all forms of movement practices in my life. I appreciate the gravitational release of how our vessels and all of our lymph system get better functionality with this particular pose. And it's also a very calming pose. So I'm just going to stay here for another minute or so just to let gravity do its work. And I like to talk about awareness while I'm here. So awareness is a new journey for me. We end up not realizing where we are in space. And in this particular position, I'm trying to remind myself to keep the head really heavy, the back of my throat really heavy, my collarbones resting heavy into the shoulders, the bottom of my ribs getting heavy into the earth, and the small of my back just has a little bit of a space where it's lifted off, and my legs and my thigh bones are resting heavy into the pelvis. I'm a big anatomy person, so I do like to give you a lot of anatomical terms. I think it's important for us to know what we're working with. All right, so after about a minute or so, which we're close, probably 20 seconds left. Now, obviously, I'm just breathing and relaxing. Just this alone is a huge release. Every once in a while, I also use a sandbag on my feet to let a little extra weight give me more of an input into my pelvis, to let the thigh bones get heavier, to release the myofascial areas of how the thigh bones and the pelvis meet. So it's probably about a minute or so. I'm going to gently come away. And before I just come off, I'm just going to bend and lengthen my legs. Recently, my knees have been an issue for me, so I'm trying to keep myself as mobile as possible because I do love my tennis games. And then I'm going to wiggle my way outward to put my feet into the wall and trying to find a 90-90 type of a situation. What does that mean exactly? That just means that my thigh bones are at 90 degrees to the pelvis and my leg bones are at 90 degrees to the thigh bones. And that helps me to feel like, okay, now I've got a little bit more information happening. And now from there, very subtle little pelvic tilt. So you're just going to use the wall to tilt your tail, to curl your tailbone towards your nose. So the low belly sinks into the low back. And then you inhale, release. Just that part. So your spine becomes a little hammock and the low back ends up kissing the earth. And then we release. 4 more times, just like that. Exhale to tilt, so your front body rests into your back body. Inhale, release. And there's suction cups in our feet. We're using the suction cups to go through the wall, past the wall, and then release. Last 2. Inhale, release. And 1 more. And then release. So now I'm going to wiggle away from the wall. And I'm going to face another direction. And I'm already on the earth. I'm going to use my TheraBand. Stretch the left leg out in front of me. Use the TheraBand around the feet. And I like to have the TheraBand in this soft, wide position rather than a bunched up, tiny position. Mainly because our fascia in our body is also going to simulate how little amount of energy we really need, and that way the fascial layers can stay happy and open. So once my right leg is up in the air, one more key element of awareness. I'm thinking of the right corner of my bum reaching for the left corner of the room to keep the right side body nice and long. Same here. Head heavy, collarbones and shoulders resting heavy, top of the ribs resting into the bottom of the ribs into the earth, low back and a slight lift off of the ground. So now I've got each hand on each side of the TheraBand and my leg is directly up in the air, hopefully at 90 degrees to the pelvis. And don't force this. If your leg is out here, that's A-okay. So we just start kindly and we're just going to breathe. And my hand grip is also just what I need. I'm going to step into my leg to reach that leg down and then lift it right back up. As I lift it back up, my elbows automatically bend a little, and that's A-okay. Mainly because that'll keep my shoulders really relaxed. The upper traps are not invited in this position. Here we go. A few more of these, about 4 more. I'm not very good at numbers, so we'll see. And the camera angle might have a different side, so I just want you to know I'm on my right side. And I'm always wrong with my right left, so please pay attention. All right, so that was my 4th one. And now I'm going to keep it here and just subtle little windshield wipers with this leg. We just go across and away from the body. So we go across midline and then away from the body. Just a few of these. And once again, breath is the key to everything. That doesn't mean I want you to start panting. Please don't. And 8 to 10 of these. I know that sounds like a large number, but you just go with what your body says. What number feeds you this day? And then from there, we're going to take it into a lovely little leg circle. You're going to take it across the body, down, around, and back up. And it's a lovely little massage for the hip socket if we allow it that way. And remember, you've got your TheraBand in each hand, so let it be supported. This is all gentle, kind stretching. And we're going to go 6 the other way. I know, I didn't give you a number in advance. Excellent. So now, this is the fun part. I'm here with my leg up in the air after those circles. I'm going to curl my head, neck, and shoulders forward. As I curl my head, neck, and shoulders forward, are you still able to speak clearly? Did you nod your chin, and do you still have a bobble in your head? You're lifting your head from the center of your body rather than from your neck. And then we're going to let that right leg and thigh bone roll forward to help us curl our way all the way up to sitting. And same here, letting our shoulders stay relaxed. Happy, happy necks. And then we're going to pelvic tilt and roll our way back down. This is just to open the right side of our body a little bit more. Once again, relaxed head and neck, curling our head and neck. Our breastbone falls into our backbone to help us roll our way all the way up to sitting as tall as available. And then we pelvic tilt, curl off of our tailbone and our sit bones to roll all the way back down. How many should we do? How about 3 more? And then remind yourself, if you were like me, don't have a death grip. Only time a death grip might be necessary is if we're climbing a mountain. Otherwise, even holding the tennis racket, we really don't. The looser the hand, actually the better. Then we release our elbow tension that way. Let's have 1 more after this one. And after this last one, once you roll up, I have 1 more fun surprise coming up. And we curl our way up. And now I'm going to walk up the TheraBand towards my foot and actually hold on to my foot for a moment and thinking of that heel to sit bone connection. How can I allow that backside to really stretch and get a little longer? And if this is not available to you, don't scold your body. Just honor what's present today at this point. Excellent. Now I'm going to keep my hand. My left hand is going to go on the outside of the right leg. I'm going to take my right hand behind me, turn and twist and look behind me. This is something we do quite often in our tennis game and matches. We twist and look. And we come back to center. So now the right hand holds the side of the foot. Left hand goes behind you and you take your right leg as far out. I can cheat. I have a lovely door and a wall to step into my foot with. So that's where I'm going. Just to open the inside of that right thigh bone. Excellent. And now I'm going to fold the same right leg across the front of that left knee. I'm going to figure 4 stretch in this position and hinge forward. It's very tempting to just round our upper body and just slump and shrink and shrivel. But we're going to stay as tall as available with our heart and our chest open, because this is something that we really need to keep our throat and our airway open. This gives me a lovely bum stretch on the right side specifically. And now to enhance this stretch, this figure 4 will go back into another twist. I'm going to let that right foot plant on the outside of my left thigh bone, hook my left arm and forearm around my right thigh bone, and twist and look behind me. Just breathing into this lovely stretch. And then I come back. So let that right leg stretch out in front of you and fold over on top of your thigh bones and notice how different you feel. And here's a place where we're thinking of a C curve in our spine. And that C curve is especially across the small of the back because our low belly has lifted into the space of the small of our back. Broad collarbones, head and neck happy. That bobble continues. Our chin did not collapse into the chest where we can't speak or breathe. I know I'm very silly, so I apologize. All right, and then coming back. got to give the left side a little love, yes. Let's go to the left side. I'm going to put the TheraBand around the left side of my foot, all the way across the top where it's soft, and then I'm going to roll down. Lovely opportunity for another roll down, and then bring that leg with me. So this side is always a little trickier for my body. I'm going to have to talk to my left side a moment, find my happy place. There we go, now I'm there. And now we're going to step into this left leg to allow the TheraBand to feel like it's giving me an extra stretch as I reach it down towards the right leg and then bring it right back up. Just simple. The thigh bone's rolling forward to open the front of the hip space, and then it folds in that new open hip space. So the cleaner and kinder the movement of how the thigh bone rolls into our hip gives us freedom across the knee and the ankle joints. That's why in Pilates, we end up doing a ton of tiny glute related emphasis work because it protects our knees and our ankles. The load gets transferred into the larger surface area in our pelvis and our hip joint. Last two. And now keep that there, and we'll go into those windshield wipers. Same principle. Shoulders happy, ribs resting heavy, back of your throat resting heavy. And if you smile, your jaw relaxes, so your whole face gets a little happier. Everything is important. How kind we can be to ourselves. Once again, 8 to 10. I don't really count. I go until this foot and leg says, okay, thank you. This is a short video, so hang in there with me. And then we'll go into our circles, leg circles. So 6 leg circles. You take it across the body, down, around, and back up. So it's a lovely massage again, once again, for the thigh bone meeting the pelvis. Excellent. Now we let that thigh bone become our lever or lever, however you like to say that word. We curl our head, neck, and shoulders forward. So my breastbone fell into my backbone. I still have a bobble across my head and neck. I'm loose across the neck. The weight of the thigh bone rolls forward to help me peel myself off of the mat to sit as tall as available, and then I curl back. I let the front body literally rest into the back body to roll back down. So these are our one leg roll-ups in case you are familiar with Pilates and you know the lingo. It doesn't matter the names of any of these. We're just enjoying how smooth our spine can move and how precise and how well our control, because we are very aware of where we are in space and kind to ourselves. 3 more. Everything we do comes from the center of our body, so the more attention and detail we give to the center of our body, the kinder the outwardliness of our bodies are. All right, on this last one, remember we climbed up this imaginary tree, walked up the TheraBand to our foot, and we held it there. Broad, happy collarbones, easy shoulders, upper traps, uninvited, and we hold the foot if it's available. If it's not, don't scold your body, it'll get there. You can always hold at the distal end closer to the edge. excuse me while my camera went off. Apologize. I was holding. There we go. And now I'm going to hold on the outside of my left foot and reach my right hand somewhere behind me, staying broad across collarbone to collarbone. Left hand is just there to help me anchor myself a little heavier into the earth, and then twist and look behind my left shoulder. So wherever your head, neck, and eyes goes, your body will follow. So rotation can be enhanced by our eyes. And allow your eyes to feel like they're really soft and broad. So never pinpoint eyes. Even as you're looking right at the ball, it's easier if we allow our eyes to be broader. Excellent. Now we'll take the same hand into the same foot, and we'll take the opposite hand somewhere behind. So your right hand goes behind you, left leg opens as far out to the side as your body allows you to. I don't have a wall or a door to cheat with this time, so I'm going as far as this body says okay. But I'm using my right hand to help me stay tall and long. Excellent. And then I'm going to take the same leg across the front of that right knee and hinge forward as tall as I can stay, and allowing this left knee to drop closer to the earth as much as possible. This is as deep as this is going to go today, so I'm just going to stay here. Typically, I'm one of those who can reach it all the way down, but not today. Just have to go with what's available. Is it wrong to just kind of melt and fold over? No, but this is more of an active stretch. This just increases my awareness because I'm very good at rounding and letting go. All right, so now I'm going to let that left foot land across the side of my right thigh bone. Hug my right leg and thigh bone with my left leg and thigh bone with my right hand. Take my left hand behind me as I twist and look behind me. One more opportunity for the corner of this left hip and thigh bone to get a nice stretch. And then I'm going to come back. All right, so I'm going to fold over again, spine stretch forward, and then carefully come back up. Yeah, feel much better. We're going to go along our sides next to improve how our abductors and our external rotators of our thigh bones help us. So for this section, I am going to tie this lovely TheraBand around my thigh bones, and preferably never in the actual joint space, just so I say that out loud, because you don't ever want to decrease communication that happens because we have nerves, vessels, everything going through our joint spaces, and we want to be kind. So I'm going to lie all the way down on my side, lining myself with my elbow, my armpit, my hip, and then my hips are stacked one on top of each other, head, neck, happy, head in line with the tailbone rather than in a flexed position or a fetal position. We're nice and open across our chest. All right, so now I've got my knees kissing each other. I've got that TheraBand tied to help me improve a little bit more. So here I am. My feet are kissing each other. My knees are just slightly open now, right? All right, we're there. And then from there, the pelvis doesn't get to really do much, but the thigh bone opens a little bit more, and then you fold it back a little. And it's all about that, allowing the top thigh bone to rotate outward a little bit more into the band. how many should we do? A gazillion of these. I know, not really. Just 15. Here's number 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, and 10, and 11. Being cognizant of open shoulders. 13. I need reminders as much as anyone else in the world. 15. So now I'm going to keep that tiny amount of energy, but I'm going to lift that right leg off and then put it back down onto that bottom foot. That right foot and leg lift off, and then they come back. So in essence, it becomes parallel to the bottom leg, and then it comes back. So what happens here? The thigh bone rotates slightly inward into neutral fashion as this happens. And that's just as equally as important as it rotating outward. I know my bum is talking. That's okay. And 6, and 7, and 8, and 9. Yes, I'm still smiling. And 10, and 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Excellent. How did that feel? I hope it felt good. So now we're going to take the TheraBand off of the top leg. That top leg is still lifted nice and long. And all you're going to think about is how that lovely right heel and your sit bone are connected with a kind, happy knee space, especially in the back and the front. And that lift across the front of this thigh bone that's going all the way deep into your ribs, into the armpit, through into that earlobe. That whole nice long line that's happening. And now from that nice long line, you're going to allow this leg to drop and lift it back up. Just simple. I know this is a challenge, but we've got this. Here's number 3. And we just lifted hip height, not any further. That should be nice. 5, once again, 15 of these also. 6, 7. Remember, this is lifted just to protect the small of the opposite side of the back. That way the left low back is not bothering you, because it shouldn't. This is not a back exercise. And 10, and 11, and 12, 13, 14, and 15. So now we're going to give this lovely leg a lot of juice by going into circles. We're going to take it across in front of us, take it way back behind us, and circle. 5 circles one way. So now we have an expansive movement in this hip socket. Here's 5 for me. And what goes one way goes the other way. So now we drag it back, lift it up behind us, and then circle it around. And my goal is to kick that door, but it's not going to happen because I'm quite far away from that door. There we go. Whew. Don't know about you. I sure felt that lovely bump. I'm going to lift myself up and out. I'm going to go into a modified plank position. Why, you might say? Well, anytime we allow that shoulder to get a little extra juice, we're going to support any unwantedness across the elbow. So yes, I'm on the left side. We have backhands to worry about. If I'm a left-handed person, forehands for the left hand. So here we go. I'm still in that same alignment. Left elbow, left hip in line with each other. And I'm not sinking into the shoulder. I'm up and out of that shoulder. Broad collarbone. That undercarriage is really helping me to stay long and lifted. And then from there, that top hand can be up here, or you can provide support for the head. And then take a nice inhale, exhale, lift, and take that top leg off. That's it. You can also reach that top arm. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. What'd you think? Was that fun? Here we go. Now we go into a full side plank. I'm going to have my top foot, top leg in front, bottom foot behind me, bottom leg behind me. And same principle, I'm thinking of my shoulder ending up resting right over the wrist, keeping that in a happy place, and then lifting up and out into my side plank. Same here. Collarbones are broad side to side. And I'm not here. My hips are lifted. I'm hopefully in one long line. Now, if it's available, you can also go into that lovely line where you take the top foot and let it meet the bottom foot. You're together. Or you could also go here. Yep, not going there today, obviously. I'm just going to keep my right foot on top of my left foot. 5, 4, 3, 2, and bend your legs. Bring your hips down. All right, what happens on one side? Lather, rinse, repeat for the other side. So we're going to start the whole process with the TheraBand for the top thigh bone. So I'm going to lie on my other side. Stretched out all the way long. Trying to align myself where my head and my tail are having a conversation. Front ribs soft into the back ribs, so I'm breathing into the broadness of my back. And then from there, knees kiss each other, feet kiss each other, and then I lift that top thigh bone where the TheraBand's just barely open. And now I'm going to open the top thigh bone even more as I press into the band. This is my challenging side. So I end up breathing a little bit more. This bum always seems to get hot faster. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now keep that lovely amount of energy outward with that TheraBand, and then lift that bottom foot and leg off and place it back down. So the thigh bone essentially rolls a little to help you lift the leg. But there's not a lot of movement happening in the pelvis, hopefully. Even though, yes, we're movers, we're minimizing the amount of movement. Oh, I forgot to count. Let's say that was 10, 11, oops, 12. I'm notorious for that at the studio. 14, yikes, and 15, even though this is my more challenging side. Now I'll unhook the top leg away from the TheraBand, reach that top leg nice and long, and I'm letting this leg be held by the center of my body. Rather than the ankle, the knee, or the hip, it's really coming from the deep center. So now from there, I've got that support. Bottom hip and top hip are stacked one on top of each other. Top shoulder is happy. I'm just going to allow that leg to drop and pick it back up. Long, long leg. It's as though the heel and the sit bone are finding a nice long, long fascial opening. I know. 6 and 7 and 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Excellent. So now we'll go into that expansive large circles for the massaging of this hip. We take it up and around and back. 5 one way, 5 the other way. As you know, in Pilates, we do end up doing a lot of different circular patterns. Well, our body's quite helical. So everything is absorbed in every inch of our body, even though we think we're just doing one thing. The body perceives it as a whole. So that's why awareness and being kind to our position matters. Whew. Yes, that bum is definitely talking. Here we go. We went into our modified side plank from here. So I'm propping myself up and out of that right shoulder. Instead of slumping or shrinking, I'm up and out. Broad, happy collarbones. Long, long, lovely side body. And then that top leg is nice and long and being held. Both legs are being held. Both hands and legs are being held from the center of this body. And then from there, a huge exhale to float that hip off and that leg off. And then maybe the arm comes up as well. And now, even from here, you could go into that other side plank. If you chose to, you just drop that top leg and then the other leg. Use your hand, prop yourself up into your side plank. Wherever you choose to go, A-OK. And I'm going to go ahead and let that left foot land on top of the right foot. Broad collarbones and shoulders. Head and tail having a conversation. Front ribs talking to the back ribs. Low belly lifted into our breastbone area. I know. If you know anything about me, planks are my most favorite thing to move and do. Love them. And then we'll come back, bend your legs. I hope that felt good. Along that line, we're going to go on our hands and knees next. So, being on your hands and knees. Yes, now we'll talk to the upper body, wrist support, and a little bit of rotation coming up as well. So your hands are directly under the shoulders, knees directly under the hips. And then we just get to go into a cat and cow, guys. Isn't that fun? So you're going to let your whole body curl toward each other. So your head and tail are creating and forming a circle downward. And now even in this position, you should be able to speak clearly. That means you can breathe clearly. And then we'll go the opposite. They'll create a circle upward. So you look forward and up slightly. And even here, you should be able to speak and breathe. And same again, we curl into our cat. Ideally, arms and thigh bones stayed in the same place. And then curl the other way. 2 more. Cat and cow. Whatever breath feels good. Last one. Cat and cow. So here's, coming back to neutral, here's one of the things that we need is to do one side rotational component. Thread the needle is one of those. It's really, really lovely for us. So we're going to take the left arm off to the side, turn and look at it, taking a nice inhale, and then exhale, take it underneath the right armpit, let your left corner of your head reach into the earth, and press into the earth with your right hand to help you. You have a one-arm push-up possibility also available, and you're turning and looking at the ceiling. It's a huge spiral in our body. We're going to go for a few more. So now push away the earth and then reach the left hand up to the sky. Take it underneath, thread through, and use your right hand. Now, if it feels good for you to lift the right hand up to the ceiling, by all means, do what feels good for you. And then push back. Let's go for 2 more. Yes? And last one. Excellent. What happens on one side? Lather, rinse, repeat for the other side. Here we go. Right hand reaches up towards the sky. And then we twist and we take it underneath. Using the left hand as a means to help us find a little deeper twist in the middle of our lungs. And then we reach that right arm up, up, up towards the sky as we twist the other way. And then we go around. And 2 more. Last one. Excellent. And then we'll come back to our hands and knees one more time. And my camera went off again. I apologize. All right. Sorry about my camera going off again. Here we go. We were on our hands and knees, finishing up the thread, the needle. We're going to tuck the toes under and take a tiny little curl of the low back. So your tail curled under, and then we're going to hover the knees off. I know it's load bearing for the wrists and load bearing for the toes, hopefully, but really the center of your body is floating upward, that this is not just in your hands and your toes. And then we come back down. These wrist weight bearing exercises are super, super necessary for us. Here we go. Take a nice inhale. And then exhale, same thing. We tuck the tail under, so open the small of your back upwards, and then we lift. So essentially, it's as though somebody punched your gut, and everything's floating upward. And the knees are just barely off the ground. As you can hear my quiver in my voice. And then back down. Release into cow for a moment. Take a nice inhale. Exhale, come back through neutral. Curl your tailbone under. Last round. Tuck and release the knees off the ground. Take a nice inhale. Let it go. And then lift your hips up and back into your downward dog shape. And remember, the heels can land or they're just barely off the ground. Where is your body today? Be kind to yourselves. Head, neck, and shoulders happy, so head can bobble. Shoulders are resting all the way through the sides of your ribs into your sit bones, which are reaching up towards the sky. I know. There we go. And now we're going to walk our dog. What does that mean? You're going to bend your right knee through articulating your right foot and then come back. And then left foot and knee and back and right and back and left and back, right and back and left and back. Last one, right and back and left and back. And now I'm going to walk my hands to my feet to roll all the way up. How did it go? I hope well. All right. If you know me at all, you know that I'm a big balance fanatic. So I like to practice a lot of balance. I am on a soft mat, which is on a carpeted surface. So beware. I may have to use the wall a few times. Don't mind me. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and face the camera just because it's a little nicer that way. Alignment matters. What does that mean? That's why I was in the profile. Head and neck in line with the rest of your spine and your tail. Oftentimes we end up becoming here. And all this does is it overstretches our upper back. There's not much connection in the middle of our body. And there's a lot of tightness happening across the front of these hips. And we're sitting in our hips instead of letting the front of the hips stay open. So how the front body literally gets buoyant, and it's really feeling like it's getting even more and more buoyant as our head floats on top of our tail and our feet, really matters. Arms are hanging. Does that mean we're in a military posture where we're really open and sticking our chest out? No. Our collarbones and our shoulder blades are literally like armor. They're resting on top of our ribs. Head and neck floating on top of our spine. Ribs across the front, talking to the back. Soft, soft, low belly emphasis lift to keep the low back happy. And pelvis right over the heels because we oftentimes like to be in the front of our toes. So finding the back part of our body. So the back is a good place for our support. All right, so now from there, I'm going to take my right foot off of the ground and balance on the left leg. And it's very tempting to go to the corner of that left thigh bone, but we're going to try to find the center of this left hip. Our body weight's floating between the 2 feet, not necessarily just on the outside of the left foot. And here I am, I'm able to turn my head and neck because my eyes are broad. I don't have pinpoint eyes. Arms can rest down by your sides, prayer pose, up above, counterbalance this way, wherever you are. We have 10 more seconds worth because that'll make it 20 or a little bit more. And then we'll put that foot back down. I hope it went well. Yes, we'll have the other side next. So same principle. We're going to take that left foot off, and we try to keep that head and neck happy. That bobble continues the whole time, and your eyes are able to visualize a panoramic view so your shoulders can stay happy. No need for pinpoint eyes. The kneecap is happy here, and we're just holding this position and breathing, nothing else. Arms can go up, prayer pose, falling down wherever you feel happy. When the arms go up, be mindful that the upper traps are not invited, that the arm bones rolled out and rested and nestled into where the collarbone rolled back into the shoulder blade, and the shoulder blades came down, out, and slightly forward to keep the space between the shoulder blades nice and happy and broad. How's it going? 5 more seconds. And then we come back down. Okay, so we always finish with the lovely little plank section, right? We might as well continue that. I know you're thinking, this is the first time I'm watching this. How would I know? We're going to go to the back edges of our mat, arms up towards the sky, going into a forward fold. And hopefully you feel better and different. And you walk your hands out into your plank. Your plank, it can be all the way down on your forearms, like so. Broad, happy collarbones, Achilles happy, easy shoulders, head and neck floating, low belly lifting up like a gust of wind is pushing it up into the space of your low back. Knees in a happy place, bum just barely invited, no clenching of anything or tightening of anything really necessary. As you can hear the quivers in my lovely voice. Just going for a full minute's worth of plank, that's it. That was 15 seconds. "30 seconds. Elbows soft. 15. And then take your hips up and back into downward dog. Walk your feet towards your hands. Let your head and neck shake yes, head and neck shake no. And then you roll your weight all the way up to standing. Wow. Come back down for a moment and sit on my feet just so we can end the same way we started, which is with 3 full breaths in and out. Hopefully you feel a little bit better at this point. So here we go. thank you so much. Have a lovely afternoon, day, evening, whatever this time is. And I appreciate you guys. Bye.